Donald Duck and Chip and Dale. This one doesn't have a date on it, but it is obviously vintage for sure. Donald Duck. The sharp, scolding voice woke Donald from a lovely dream. Blinking, he sat up in the hammock and looked at his neighbors, who were standing in a circle around him. What's going on here? He demanded. Is something wrong? There certainly is, said the lady who lived next door. Donald, this is cleanup week, and we've all been busy for days painting our houses. Now we want to know when you plan to fix up your house. It's the worst looking place on the block. Oh, it's not so bad, Donald said, looking at the chipped and peeling paint. I'll tend to it someday. You'll paint it today, snapped the lady, or you'll have all of us to deal with. And away they went, muttering and shaking their heads. Donald lay back in the hammock with a deep frown. Unless he thought of something right away, he had several hours of hard work ahead of him. What's the matter, Donald? Are you sick? Donald looked up and saw the two little chipmunks, Chip and Dale, looking down at him from a maple branch. Suddenly, he had a wonderful idea. That's right, boys, he groaned. I just fell down and twisted my leg, and the neighbors say I have to paint my house this very day or else. Say, that's too bad. The little chipmunks looked very sad. I don't suppose you fellows could help me out, Donald asked slyly. Do you mean paint? Wondered Chip. Us? Demanded Dale. That's right, fellows. It's really lots of fun. I wish I could do it myself, but I can't. Well, said the chipmunks doubtfully, but they were too late. Donald was already pointing them towards the garage. The paint's in there, he said, and the brushes are on the shelf. Thanks a lot, fellows, and he sank back into the hammock. As soon as Chip and Dale had gone around to the front of the house, Donald had a good laugh. What a smart duck I am, he said to himself. My house will be painted and I won't have to do a single thing. Chip and Dale hardly knew where to begin. The brushes were too heavy for them to lift, so they dipped their bushy tails into the buckets instead. Back and forth they ran, changing the house from a dingy gray to a sunny yellow. Whew, that is hard work, exclaimed Chip. I've rubbed all the fur off my beautiful tail. Me too, agreed Dale, but poor Donald really needed help. Let's go tell him that we're about finished. Wearily, the two little chipmunks trudged around the house. When they reached the backyard, they could hardly believe their eyes. The hammock was empty. Why, he's gone, exclaimed Chip. There he is, skipping down the alley, chirped Dale. Look at him. We've been tricked. At first, the chipmunks were too angry to do a thing. Then they both scampered to the garage. Red paint, purple paint, green paint. Chip pointed at the shelf. We'll fix that smart duck, snapped Dale. And they did. For the next hour, they painted faster than ever. When they had finished, the porch rails and the posts were striped bright red and white. There were purple scallops around every window. A big funny face decorated the front door. Every shutter had a different pattern painted on it, and the roof was covered with pink and yellow polka dots. If you had happened to pass Donald Duck's house that evening, you would have seen a strange sight. All the neighbors were gathered in a circle beside the house, and they looked very angry. In the center of the circle stood Donald Duck. He had a paintbrush in his hand and a bucket of paint. And what's more, the lady next door was saying, we're going to stay right here until you've cleaned up every bit of this mess, Donald. Now get busy. That's right, get busy, echoed two little voices, and if you had happened to look up at that very moment, you might have seen two little chipmunks chuckling to themselves high in the maple tree. The end.